Welcome to She Did That, the podcast that celebrates women shaping the promotional products industry, one bold idea, one fearless leap, and one inspiring story at a time.
I'm Emily Codner here with my fabulous co-host, Amelia Model. Every episode, we will be chatting with trailblazers, innovators, and everyday boss babes who are making big waves in our space. One product, one pitch, one bold move at a time.
And today's guest is Teresa Fudenberg. Did I say that correctly, Teresa?
It's close enough.
Fix me. Do not let anybody else make a mistake like me. Tell us how to pronounce it correctly.
Fudenberg.
German, so it should have like the two little dots above it.
Right. No dots, but yes, that's the correct pronunciation.
I get it. Say it for me. Teresa Fudenberg. Don't anybody mess that up again, because she is the CEO and the owner of Storm Creek, and she'll get you. But she's got a story worth hearing, a journey worth celebrating, and you guessed it, she did that.
Yes, Teresa is a boss babe. Welcome, Teresa. Thank you. Yay. Love that. Yes. Thank you for being here.
Amelia and I are boss babe. It's just
you are a boss babe. We love that. Thank you for being here. We're familiar with you and how much of a powerhouse you are. But why don't you introduce yourself to those who may not know you, and how did you get into the promotional products industry?
Yes. Well, I don't have as many years as some people do, but I'm excited to say I just have my 11th year under my belt in the promotional products industry. But I joined essentially to reform Storm Creek under a new ownership, which is obviously WeBank certified women owned. And that was in 2014. So earlier this year, it was 11 years, or maybe I guess it was 12. I guess I lost count. But anyway, leading up to that, there was some exposure to it because I'm a brand and marketeer at heart. So, but really digging in and what's ASI? What's PPAI? What's 2014?
Like, let's do this.
Yes, absolutely. Time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly.
I always forget how old I am. Same thing. Once you hit a certain number, you're like, it doesn't matter anymore. We've got this. So you spent over 20 years building brands for other entrepreneurs before stepping into Storm Creek as the majority owner. What finally made you say, now it's my turn to build something of my own?
Okay. So prior to promotional products and Storm Creek. So at 26, I started On Your Mark, and that was my company that I was all about fractional marketing. And so Minnesota's is a hotbed of entrepreneurs, and I worked at a very entrepreneurial company prior, and I saw that there's all these visionaries who have all these great product ideas, but bringing them to market, especially with big Goliaths next to them, and carving out their particular value proposition and uniqueness and all that. They just didn't have the need or the resources for a full-time marketing department. So I was enter On Your Mark. So that just evolved to me being their right-hand business strategist. And before I know it, I'm building their companies, and I'm like, that's really fun and exciting because they had great ideas. But in addition to building my On Your Mark brand, I knew it was time for something else. So coincidentally, about that time, I met Doug Jackson. He is now my husband. He's the founder of the Storm Creek brand. And it's funny because it's actually been, Storm Creek has been around for 20 years. And that's something that a lot of people don't know, because it was in the background. It was he created it because he's a product visionary. He loves making product, but he's like, I don't want to deal with any other part of it. Like the staffing, the warehousing, the marketing, the branding, the trade shows, all that. He made product for other people. So, obviously we know it to be wholesalers in our industry. So wholesalers in promo, wholesalers in retail, he wanted to do that. And so I remember the day we were going for a walk, and again, this is new in the relationship, but I could find nothing but holes to poke in this whole the way his company was run. I was like, so let me get this right. You have a really cool brand and there's all this great product, but you give your microphone to someone else and you just lay back and go, oh, I live in the brand. This is fine. And so anyway, he said, well, I think I asked one too many questions is what really happened. He says, well, you should run it then. And I was like, challenge accepted. So I literally can remember it was almost exactly this month. There's like 8 days and it'll be exactly the anniversary of him asking me that question. And so I said, well, if we do this, we are obviously taking control of the microphone in our own brand because there's way too much excitement here. So that's when we moved on and said, we're selling direct to the promotional products distributors out of the wholesale market. And let's take this to the consumer. Let's take it to retail. Let's take it to the promotional products distributor and really carve out this niche that awaits us and this story that was waiting to be told. So I guess that's when everything ensued. And it was craziness, to be honest, because I literally had Chris Lovell from ASI.
Mm-hmm.
She was in town visiting Evans Manufacturing. She's like, hey, I heard you guys are right next door. I said, come on in. She's like, well, you need an ASI number. I was like, okay, what's that? You need a PPI. You need to do this. You need to go to this show, do this, blah, 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 be on ESP, be on stage, da, da, da. So it's just kind of funny because we had a big award recently and she wrote a little thing on LinkedIn that kind of like, I remember the day when, and so I'm forever grateful for someone just taking me under their wing and helping me understand the industry so that we could just, get this airplane going.
That's so cool that your stars aligned in two ways.
Mm-hmm.
One, that the industry kind of found you and was like,
Mm-hmm.
here's how you do it. And two, you found your husband. And I think that should be a dating show. Do a business together.
Right.
And if you survive that, then marriage is
right.
easy.
Right. And we get asked that question all the time. How could you work together? I could never work with my spouse. So I don't know, for whatever reason, our uniquenesses are just different enough.
Mm-hmm.
And our strengths are just different enough, and our thinking is just different enough to be able to, I think, manage through that.
Yeah. And I love how you were also like, you know what? Challenge accepted. Hold my beer. I'm going for this. I'm
Right.
doing it.
How did you know I had a beer in my hand?
Just had a feeling.
That's so funny. But yes, it was challenge accepted. And then after it was like, whoa, interesting. Okay. It's hard. We'll get into this in a little bit, but it's never an overnight thing. And I can talk a little bit. I saw a question coming up about maybe some tools that helped us break through those ceilings that came upon us.
Yes. Well, the really cool thing about Storm Creek is that you take things that were, once used and you make beautiful jackets and beautiful apparel out of recycled water bottles and things that people are like, I don't need this anymore. It's going to go into a landfill. So that's awesome. And we love that. And Storm Creek has a bold goal of donating $5 million to charity by 2030. So time's ticking. It's coming.
Yes. Yes.
But you're already halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you build a giving commitment in, building, now I need to be edited. How do you build a giving commitment that big into the DNA of a business without it becoming just a marketing tagline?
Right. I know that's always the fear, right? Just same with the eco side of things. We quickly bolted away from eco-friendly because that really meant nothing. And nobody wants that greenwashing or that, something less than authentic. So I know we're talking about EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, in a little bit, but the reason that's related to this is it's just an amazing system, but it forces you to set a 10-year target. So that is what we did in 2020 to say $5 million to charity by 2030. However, prior to 2020, we were doing a lot with the community. We were giving a lot of apparel. We were, as a matter of fact, I walked in the streets of Rome once. This is a really funny story. We got out of the Vatican. We did a tour. We're walking behind a guy. He is I'm going to say it wrong. Anyway, he was in training. I could tell he was in his robes and seminary school. Sorry. And he had a Storm Creek jacket on. It was kind of chilly out. And I was like, but I had to, I'm like, excuse me, sir. He's young. He's like 23 or something. I said, where did you get your jacket? And he goes, oh my gosh, all of us young seminarians, we are so broke. We have no money. There's this company in Minnesota, and that's where I'm from. And they donated jackets to all of us because they knew we couldn't afford them. And they knew we were going to be over here for a long time, whatever. And I'm like, oh, can I take a picture? But anyway, so we were doing things like that, and we were donating dollars and all those kinds of things, but it wasn't formalized. But so when we went to build this goal in 2020, what could we do? Our goals had always been revenue oriented, right? X amount of revenue or profit by this date. And we thought about what that would be like coming back to an offsite and telling our whole team, hey, we're going for this amount of money. It's just flat, right? It's just, what is that? How can I relate to that? So we thought if we kept giving at the rate we were giving, we would probably give like $1 million by 2030. And that sounded really lame. So we made it $5 million. So we put it down in ink. We came back and talked about it. And then I kind of hit the panic button because I was like, what if we don't live up to this? And we're going to, our reputation internally and externally is at stake. Nonetheless, we put a plan in place and we just doubled down on that. So then COVID hit. So yeah, in March 2020, our business was down 90% instantly, like everybody's, right? And so I remember my people from my CEO roundtable peer group called and they said, hey, you need to do something about this COVID stuff because you have apparel and I'm sure you can do something with that. And I'm like, what? Oh yeah. So I went to work the next day and I'm like, hey, anybody want to be on a do-gooder committee? They're like, what's that? And I'm like, well, we have nothing else to do. So let's get some people on the do-gooder committee. And we created a Wear for Better quarter zip. And we had all the frontline hero icons. And it was in a cool heat transfer. And we took it on one of our bestsellers. And we said, hey, Amelia, you buy one and we'll gift one from you for free to your frontline hero in any state in the country. And we'll write a personalized note to your nurse sister in Boston and tell her, thank you for all you're doing, to your truck driver brother in Texas. So we did all this.
That is amazing.
We decided to give things away for free when business is down 90%. But I do think there's something about that when like the chips are down and you're still sticking with your mission. So, I mean, I thought the banker was going to be like, whoa, that's a nice, business model. But anyway, we ended up giving over 1,000 away across the country and people were taking pictures and sending their notes in. And so it was really cool. But more importantly, it gave us kind of a little mission internally, to like band together. And because this was like COVID hit, but before we were remote, and then we were remote, and oh gosh, it was crazy. Taking turns coming to the office, writing the notes, all that kind of stuff. So nonetheless, that's really like the mark of how things got institutionalized. But where we give is really aligned with either what our employees, what matters to them. They get money and they get apparel, whatever, to give to the organizations, nonprofits that are important to them. But like we have a lot of products in national parks, and so we donate a lot to 1% for the Planet and the National Park Foundation. And we do things right in our backyard, and we do things across the country. One of our partners is Ronald McDonald House, and we do a lot with them. And she just told a story. We won a Meaningful Capitalism Award recently, and she came on stage with me, and I'm like, tell us how you do something with our apparel behind the scenes. We give them tens of thousands of pieces, and they stack all of their shelves and closets because people, a sick child, they end up on a helicopter, they're unexpectedly, and it's the middle of winter. They just go to the closet and they dress themselves for free with free Storm Creek stuff. So I actually didn't even know what they did with our apparel, so it was so great for her to tell that story. So
that's really, really cool.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, now I'm just pausing. Like,
yeah.
Like I have another question, but I'm just letting all that sink in, how amazing that is to think of all those. And especially when everybody is like, how do we make money? And you're like, just give it away. It's fine. We'll figure it out later.
How do we give it away?
Might as well do something while the ship's going down. Let's keep going.
Right, exactly. With a beer in our hand. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Yes.
But people, that set a stage for something we didn't even know would have such a halo effect. Now, when people come in and they're looking at us as a place to work, they just have they either can really relate to that or they probably aren't choosing us, right? It's just so in our DNA between giving and the environmental element. It's usually what attracts people here.
Love that. Okay, so you've said that before adopting EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, it often felt like you were taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. What does sustainable business growth actually look like from the inside when you're in the middle of it?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And I think I've heard the phrase building the airplane in air. You're like, you're still building the team and you're still, you're fixing all these, patching this hole, patching this process, whatever. And it's so true at the stage that we were at. And it means that things are going great, but it's not like a well-oiled machine. So kind of issues would come up, the same ones, or we just, add a new person to the team and they do it different than the other person and all that. So it's their whole basis is starting with answering simple questions, and everybody kind of has a picture of where the company's going, and it's so everybody knows your core values and everybody knows your vision. So the core values is like we talk about that in our interviewing. I mean, we hire based on them, we promote based on them, we trade cards. We all have values cards, so we recognize them. They're like kind of baseball card size, and we give them to people. And there's values victors, and there's all kinds of winners and celebrations around those. And kind of seeing people live out those values, and it really kind of stems from there. And it's purpose driven, always seeking better, humbly confident, and accountable to the end result. And so it just sort of shows up, and people want to work with team members who, I guess, subscribe to those values. So then from there, you put your mission in place. So our 10-year target, we already talked about. Then we kind of break down where we're going in 3 years, 1 year, and then 1 quarter at a time. We just work through all the projects, all the data, all the the meetings and everything we need just to accomplish what we need to do in a quarter. And it's simple. It's a simple framework, and but it's like focus, which we didn't have, accountability, and results. And so since we started that, we've quadrupled in revenue. And I go to a lot of the EOS conferences. I talk to a lot of people in the industry, as a matter of fact, suppliers and distributors who are thinking of running on EOS. And we have meetups and we have brainstorms, and we kind of mentor each other in terms of how to make it work the best. But for those of us who aren't part of like the large organizations in the industry, we found it to be just a helpful way to have that scaled, sustainable growth.
Yeah, sounds so simple, but so interesting and so complex. It's incredible. My mind's already going like, ooh, what can I?
Yeah, you're like, ooh, I like that. We're gonna steal some.
What can I bring in here?
Oh, steal away! I'll talk to you anytime about it. We do. We again talk to a lot of other distributors, and there's scorecards and stuff. And so I was just sharing with another person our scorecards, and these are things we track, and we found it helpful and all that kind of stuff. So.
Love that. So we're running a little bit short on time, so we'll just hit these really, really quick.
Okay.
But Storm Creek is a women-owned WBENC certified brand. Yay, we love that. But you're also competing in a $27 billion with a B dollar promotional products industry dominated by much larger players. So how do you use being a woman-led competitive advantage rather than just credentials?
Yeah, good question. It's really part of just our wrapped up box checking uniqueness. So it's we're WeBank certified women owned. We're got the purpose driven profits charity. There's a wow in everywhere, and then every product we have is certified sustainably made. So it's just kind of one of those quadruple threats or whatever that we say, because sometimes the women-owned part is super important to someone, and we work together to help that end user get their maximum minority spend goals met and all of that. I'll go with the distributor to the end user, a big international construction company. They'll bring in everybody, we'll talk about their goals, and we'll be able to have that be a component met. Some people, it's like that's not as important as the sustainability element is and their ESG goals, and we how can we quantify those and meet those. But I think there's just there's a little bit of heart involved in a women-owned business, or maybe a lot of heart. I do ask employees a lot, like, why does that mean something to you, or how can we show up with that as something beyond just a certification. And I think it got summed up by our controller the other day. He just said, I can always count on you to lead with heart, no matter the difficulty, the excitement, whatever, but I know that there's a heart behind it, and that meant a lot. And hopefully that is something that's felt by others.
That's great. Sorry, getting choked up here. So you mentioned you kind of got involved in this industry, or before the industry, as a young woman in this crazy world. So what advice would you give to a young woman early in her career, or even to yourself starting? If you could go back, I've seen where you write yourself a letter for 20 years ago. What would you tell yourself?
I love that write yourself a letter part. Or what would you tell your younger self? I feel like I was always a late bloomer in the way of really understanding what my strengths were. I just sort of assumed anybody in business has the same set of strengths. I don't know if anybody else has that experience. we know Chloe here is an anomaly, an exception, and just a wonderful young woman. When I was young, I was just a little uncertain how my unique strengths intersected with what's out there for me for an opportunity. So I took advantage of mentoring in a huge way, and I had a mentor. I was trying to decide whether to get a different job at 26 or start this company. I really wanted to do that, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I kind of liked the fact that I didn't because I had no fear. But in going with in meeting up with him, meet for coffee, he gave me homework. And this is what I do now when I mentor people. I give them homework in between sessions, and it could be anything like take StrengthsFinder and let's come back and let's talk about it. And so it was just thinking things that I had to do and kind of almost journal entries and prompts and that kind of thing, but have someone to be accountable to. So I don't think when you're young, you always know your specific amazingness, but it's a lot easier for someone on the outside to see that and help you find a connection between that and what your work can be. Just kind of closing out, I can give an example of a young woman who is actually getting married next month, a month from today. And she was so unhappy 5 years ago. And she was doing what she thought she was supposed to do, work in an office because everyone in her family did. And I was like, take StrengthsFinder and we're going to meet again. Well, lo and behold, she's doing nothing near that. And she's using empathy, which is her top strength. She's working in a physician's office. And it's been transformational. And so I think it all comes out of just having someone help hold up the mirror to what your specialness is and how to use that for your happiness, really, and making an impact in the world.
Wow. Well, we could keep going on forever and ever and ever. And I really wish that we could. But thank you so much, Teresa, for being here today. This was a wonderful conversation. We definitely have to continue this offline. And thank you to everybody for joining us today on She Did That. We look forward to seeing you next time. But for now, take it in, be inspired, then go do that. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Teresa.
Bye.